The X-Men. I must strike them at their most vulnerable.
I don't think that the much-awaited second season of X-Men 97 could have received a better start than the first 3 episodes that have been released. Marvel Animation is really setting the bar high, in line with the legacy of the OG 90s series and a perfect follow-up in X-Men 97 Season 1. This time around, the stakes are higher, and the villains are more powerful, and it's suddenly about more than just some mutant-hating team and propaganda to deal with. The fate of the universe is at risk with the rise of Apocalypse across different timelines, and the scattered X-Men must find a way to deal with the threat. I've loved the 3 episodes in Season 2, but more importantly, I'm curious to find out what's in store for the fans up next. In this video, I'll try to come up with some educated guesses to predict everything that happens next, and how the next episode can extend the narrative.
He was not fit to survive. Destroy them!
The X-Men in the past will have their work cut out for them. I don't know about you, but I was more thrilled to discover the exploits of the X-Men stuck in the past timeline in 3000 BC ancient Egypt, where they encounter In-Sabanur. Professor Xavier, Magneto, and the others have a chance to change how this unfortunate mutant turns into the deadly apocalypse, but so far, things haven't gone too well. Nur has discovered the betrayal, and to make matters worse, the pharaoh Rama-Tut has attacked him in the final moments of the episode. Now Nur might be all the more furious with the X-Men, whom he considered to be allies for a moment. Moreover, there might be an ideological difference between Magneto and Professor Xavier all over again. If Magneto realizes that Nur is too far gone, he might be okay with killing him, but Xavier will argue that killing is never justified. The others like Rogue, Nightcrawler, and Beast might also work to come up with an option to neutralize Nur and alter his conditioning, and while this will probably not work directly, it can impact the events during the present 90s timeline, where they figure out a way to defeat Apocalypse. More importantly, I think that the next few episodes will focus on the efforts to ensure that the powerful and ancient weapon doesn't fall into the hands of In-Sabanur. In short, the X-Men in the past have a more difficult task at hand than the X-Men in the future, who have already been sent back to their original timeline. In-Sabanur's transformation and confrontation with the Pharaoh coming up. Clearly, we're not done with the past timeline yet, and there's a lot more to come in terms of what the X-Men have to endure next. Moreover, the Pharaoh has enjoyed an upper hand so far, but now, with the death of his general and the final attack on In-Sabanur, he might have just disturbed the hornet's nest. Of course, Nur is far from death, and he will be back with more fury and determination. If the X-Men have to bear the consequences, so does the Pharaoh, and I wonder how that works for future alliances in this timeline. What I'm fairly confident about is that we'll see the full transformation of In-Sabanur into Apocalypse, and the only victory for the X-Men might be that they're able to prevent him from achieving some insane power that makes him impossible to defeat in the future timeline as well. We've already seen that Nur is familiar with the ideology of survival of the fittest, which he executes in the most extreme form, and I think the story arc will end with him getting more convinced about his ideas as he seeks to implement the same across timelines. This might be the beginning of an overarching villain whose presence connects all timelines, and I hope the showrunners give this enough screen time because no other story is as important as this one.
Our mission is complete, but Nathan's is not.
Mother Ascani's real identity might be revealed. One of the most noticeable characters in the first 3 episodes was Mother Ascani, the leader of the Ascani group with some powerful cosmic and psychic abilities. But her true identity is yet to be revealed, and the comic book readers will know that there's more to her than just being a guiding force for Nathan in the future timeline. Mother Ascani is secretly Rachel Summers, who's the daughter of Scott and Jean from an alternate reality, and this makes her a sister to Nathan Summers. She's also a host of the Phoenix Force, and the show even gives us a glimpse of her upside-down flaming meditation, which is a solid throwback to Jean and something she did in the comic books back in the 90s. I'm quite sure that the next few episodes will deliver more insights into this character, her role in countering Apocalypse, and her ties with the Summers family, and surely that would be a rather interesting touch.
Last I checked, I give the orders around here.
And last I checked, we were trying to stop a ruthless mass murderer.
Jubilee and Cable will have their ideological differences. I mean, this one's already pretty evident, isn't it? Jubilee is someone who works conventionally. She's been trained by the X-Men, and she's learned compassion and ethics, while Cable is a ruthless warrior who's only concerned about the mission at hand. His ends justify the means philosophy doesn't sit well with Jubilee, and we've already seen a few of these differences, such as the time when Cable wants the Horseman of Apocalypse to be executed, and she wants to find another way. I think that we'll see in the upcoming episodes that both Jubilee and Sunspot will completely become a part of the X-Force, but as operatives in such a ruthless team, they have their moments of doubt and disagreement. In a way, the methods of X-Force mirror some of Magneto's worst impulses, and this wouldn't go down too well with Jubilee and Sunspot. X-Factor versus X-Force might take a turn for the worse. This has been one of my favorite little takeaways from the episode because it's such a nice throwback to the good old days of the comic books. Both X-Factor and X-Force have been introduced as opposing organizations, and they even had a direct face-off already. Now the government has already declared that the X-Force members are dangerous criminals, and the government-aligned X-Factor will hunt them down in all likelihood. My prediction is that episode 4 or 5 will feature another major direct confrontation between these two organizations, and you might see the likes of Psylocke and Archangel fight it out with Jubilee and Sunspot. This just goes to show that irrespective of what's at stake, there's always going to be issues that cause infighting among mutants. I just hope that they do justice to the character of Jubilee because so far, things have been really impressive this season. She's reached her full potential, both in terms of her powers and decision making, and I think this works wonders for her future with the X-Men as a key member.
For we are the dawn!
Will Storm have a bigger role to play? I've never doubted the fact that Storm is one of the strongest mutants on the team, but to see her commanding solar winds and taking charge of a cosmic solar storm is still remarkable. It seems like she can now unleash a more powerful version of herself, which makes me wonder if Season 2 will have a more impactful role in store for Storm. I have a feeling that the next few episodes will require more of her incredible powers, especially since Apocalypse has decided to hurt the X-Men when they're the most vulnerable, during the 90s. The stint with Mother Ascani, where she's guided to be the best form of herself, might just come in handy for Storm in the long run.
Should have gone to the past.
More time travel on the cards for Forge and the X-Men? I find the possibility of this rather intriguing, especially because this gives the possibility to bring all the X-Men together in one place. You see, the likes of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, and the others stuck in the future timeline have been brought back to the present, but the team with Xavier and Magneto is still stuck in the past with Insabanur. I'm sure Forge will brief the team with Cyclops about the situation, and this might just prompt another time travel, where they head to the past timeline to help Professor Xavier come back to the present timeline. If this does happen, it'll be very interesting because they'll be directly fighting Apocalypse in the past as a complete team. The way I see it, the idea to scatter them across timelines was a good one because it provided the opportunity to focus on them individually. Now it's time to bring them back together, and what better way to do this than some time traveling action. Of course, it can also go the other way, where Xavier, Magneto, and the others find their way back to the present timeline. However, I'm more concerned about the consequences brought by all this jumping around, and how it might impact the stability of the timeline. Nathan or Cable fighting Apocalypse in all timelines. I mean, this is what he's apparently destined to do, so I wouldn't be surprised if the next episode sets the stage for this in a larger scale. Firstly, I expect to see Nathan in training in the future timeline, guided by Mother Ascani. He's already embraced the challenge of making a few tough decisions, such as letting go of his parents, and he's already shown signs of his great powers. Now would be a good time to enhance them further, because his enemy is someone who's amongst the strongest villains of all time. He needs to be groomed to fight Apocalypse at his best, which makes me wonder about his well when Insabanur is yet to become Apocalypse. We might just see Cable in the past timeline trying to eliminate the threat of Apocalypse before it's too late. Also, in the process of this unfolding, I expect to see more about the horrors unleashed by Apocalypse, such as his horseman implementing a reign of terror across segments of humanity, with an apocalyptic setup where humans and mutants have been enslaved or forced into hiding.
Magnus says I have a destiny. I can do more than just conquer the world.
Apocalypse has a goal across timelines. It's easy to be confused by a sympathetic version of Insabanur as a victim of circumstance, but make no mistake, he's about to become an antagonist who is feared by humanity across timelines. In fact, if I look at the aspirations of Apocalypse in the future timeline, one thing becomes pretty clear. He's not just trying to rule over one era, but he's determined to eliminate any opposing force across timelines. His main goal is to control and manipulate the time stream in such a way that his rule becomes eternal. He will try his best so that the X-Men cannot unite against him in a particular timeline, and as of now, he's planning to hurt them in the present 90s timeline. There are the likes of Mother Ascani who are also adding catalysts against his tactics, but I don't think that can stop what is inevitable, and this entire season will be all about the X-Men finding out why Apocalypse is the worst enemy that they could come up against. The 90s will be the ultimate battleground. X-Men 97 has to go down in the 90s, and I don't think there's any doubt about this. In the next couple of episodes, maybe even the next one itself, you'll see that the action is focused around the present 90s timeline, and this will mean a return to this timeline for all the major parties involved. On one hand, Apocalypse will unleash a global threat that will jeopardize the X-Men, X-Factor, and X-Force, and suddenly all organizations with varying ideology and goals might have one big concern to deal with, which is countering Apocalypse. The final battle will take place in the 90s, and what will be crucial might be a couple of crucial artifacts and weapons from the past and the future, such as the techno-ancient device from Egypt or some important development in the future timeline, courtesy of Mother Ascani and Nathan. All in all, I just know that the stakes will be higher than ever before. I think X-Men 97 Season 2 might also end on a cliffhanger. Gambit's comeback as a Horseman of Death. Among all the evil things that Apocalypse does, I find his Horseman of Death to be the most disturbing, where he rounds up powerful mutants and turns them into his puppets. Their powers are enhanced, but they're completely brainwashed, and Season 2 of X-Men has already shown us a new squad of Horsemen. While they might seem unfamiliar, you can expect a few familiar faces to emerge soon enough. I'm sure you haven't forgotten about the tragic death of Gambit in Season 1. Well, Season 1 ended with a post-credit scene that showed Apocalypse standing in the wreckage of Genosha and staring at one of Gambit's cards. This wasn't added for no reason, and I expect to see him emerge as one of Apocalypse's horsemen in the upcoming episodes. Also, Magneto's daughter Polaris has been Pestilence, and I hope to see what the story does in this regard. Romance and torn relationships. When has X-Men ever been just about the action? One of the reasons we love this universe is the diversity offered in terms of the storytelling, and all the relationships, making and breaking characters. X-Men 97 Season 2 is no exception, and I can already see a couple of adorable couples. Jubilee and Sunspot seem like a promising pair, but you can expect some trouble in paradise, especially if Sunspot leans toward the extreme side of their organization. The next few episodes might test their relationship like never before. It's probably less volatile for Storm and Forge, but even they might be separated again, if Forge has to time travel to help out the X-Men in the past timeline. Lastly, Cyclops and Jean Grey might have some trouble in their relationship over their stance regarding Nathan and his future. Honestly, it's not like they had much of a choice there, but this is one complicated couple that I'm not a fan of, and they might just find a way to brew trouble. In all these juvenile relationships, I wonder what the future of Professor Xavier's love life will look like. So as you can see, we're only getting started here. The show has already been promising enough to become the talk of the fans, and if the unabashed storytelling continues, we might just be in for a long run of X-Men 97 across multiple seasons. There's so much comic book material to be covered that the narrative will always keep us guessing. But don't worry, because I'll be here with my list of predictions after each episode so that we can discuss the possibilities of how the season shapes up, based on all that happens next. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the first 3 episodes of X-Men 97, and also share your thoughts on the predictions that have been discussed here. If you appreciate the efforts to bring you this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more such videos.